and welcome to Relocate Guru, the platform to help you feel at home and and make moving easier no matter where you go to. I'm Nicole, the founder of Relocate Guru, and today I'm really excited to be joined with Dana Batcher. We've got a different name on your thing because we've got your husband's name. So we're going to be sharing some amazing tips from Dana's new book, Fight or Flight, a survival guide for traveling with kids, because many of you here are probably going to be traveling with small children over the summer holidays, and I thought it'd be fantastic to be sharing some really practical tips to make that easier and less stressful for you all. So if you have any stories or questions, please pop them in the post. Hi Laura, so if you're here, sort of like say hi and join in, because I haven't done a live one of these for a little while, so it's going to be fantastic to interact with you all live. So feel free to just jump in with your questions anytime. So I met Dana sort of like at the FIGT conference earlier this year, and Dana, as well as being a best-selling author, she is a speaker, a lawyer, international mediator, an expert mum of 4 boys. She is from Israel and currently lives in Singapore. And in her spare time, she does stand-up comedy to raise money for charity and inspire people to be the best versions of themselves. So it's just amazing. So thank you so much, Dana, for being here and joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Exciting.
So can you start off by telling us a bit about your story and what led you to writing your book and your journey to move to be living in Singapore?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. We came here thanks to my husband. We used to live in Israel, and he used to come to the region, for a long period of time. So after like 3 or 4 years of commuting, it didn't make sense anymore. It made sense to come and live here because it's the heart of the region. You can manage the region easier. And I came and I continued to do my mediation and the courses and corporate training, etc., etc. And I started to travel in the region with the kids, of course. It was in international schools over here, they have so many days off. So you find yourself traveling more than usual, which is a bless. And we loved it. But, we came with 2 boys and pregnant, and then we had 3 boys, and then we had 4 boys. And I'm a shrinking minority in my own family. But we continue to travel, and we loved it. And every time, we struggle with something on the airplane, and you find a solution before, during, or after, and you are making yourself more, sophisticated and more prepared, and it's awesome. And then after a few years, I decided to travel by myself, which doesn't happen very often. But I traveled in Nepal for my first time, and I did a trek for like a week or so. And I've met extreme poverty over there that I've never experienced anywhere else in the world. Not even in India, which is very, you experience like really tough things over there. And I started to collaborate with a local organization that helps to these kids, their trek to teach. So they do a trek and then they teach them voluntarily. And I was moved by that. And I said, I want to help you. So when I came back home on my 40th birthday, I decided to do a stand-up comedy show for the first time in my life, to be outside of my comfort zone. I think you get this when you get 40, maybe before. And we started to fundraise. And a few months ago, again, I flew by myself, which was, again, a gift. On the way back from Fiji, which was a long flight, but a beautiful one when you're by yourself, I was so excited. I chucked everything for the check-in. I literally boarded with a passport. And like half an hour later into the flight, the whole book just came to me, not as a joke, literally dawned on me. And I was like, oh my God, all this information, all these tips, all these stories, where do I write? Okay, on my laptop, no laptop, book, no notebook checked in. So I collected the vomit bags, and I wrote everything in the vomit bags, which was amazing. And the whole book was written on the vomit bag. And I decided that if I received the book as a gift like that, then it has to have a bigger mission than just being a book. So I said, I will share all the experience that I have and all the knowledge that I collected and all the story that we've experienced with parents all over the world people without kids are forced to travel with kids on plane in order to
I,
encourage everyone to travel
sorry, I
more
think
to
the connection's
there
gone a bit
in
fuzzy.
every age, any stage, any distance, any location, just to go and travel. But I
Sorry,
figure that if the
can you still
book
hear
came
us?
to me, then I better take part of it to do something good for others, take part of the profits towards the cause. So this okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Am I there?
It's just it went a bit crackly for a bit. So just to recap, sort of like you
Sorry.
went on this amazing trip to Fiji, and then because you had the clarity without all the chaos of trying to juggle with the family, you had that space, and like divine inspiration came, and you just wrote like your whole book basically on, or the concept of the book on the back of a boarding pass, and needed to share it with the world. And yeah, sorry Sonia if you because the connection was bad. Hopefully it picks up again and gets sorted out so we can keep continuing. So yeah, so you've written this amazing book, so we want to dive in with some of the tips to sort of like make it easier for people who are traveling, because when you're in an expat, you sort of like you're traveling home to visit family a lot, and yeah, you're often going on long flights with very small children. So, and it's great. It's a great blessing to give children like the opportunity to travel and see the world, but the process of getting from A to B can sometimes be a bit stressful. So if you have, say, like babies, what would be your best tips for traveling with very small infants?
So basically, the book, what I did is like how to prepare for the trip
Yep.
and how to survive the flight and what to do after. So
Fantastic.
one of the tips that I really loved because of a personal story that happened to us is what to pack for the babies.
Yeah.
So for example, we flew one day and we had like a 14-hour flight and our boy had diarrhea the whole flight.
Oh my
And
God.
we changed him 13 times and I packed 10 diapers. So we ended up with no diapers. We changed him like 6 times the outfit. So one of the tips came from this story, and the stories are all in the book as well. So it's about, we made this rule that is 1 hour, one diaper. So no matter how long the flight is, you take at least one diaper per hour with a minimum of 5 if you go on a short flight, to pack at least 6 sets of clothes for the baby, to pack clothes for yourself, which you usually never do. And the way I looked after this flight is horrendous. To take these plastic bags. For example, we were talking about breastfeeding versus, bottles. So it doesn't matter what is it that you do, how to pamper yourself. So you need to drink enough. How do you handle the kids with the ear
Yeah.
pressure when they take off, and also when you're landing. So what are the options for this? So either a bottle, a bottle of water, or breastfeeding. So what do you do? Do you feed them properly an hour before so they're not hungry and they don't want to breastfeed? Or do you give them a smaller meal and then you breastfeed them when you take off? About a dummy or something to leak. There are so many tips in the book. Babies is like the best, definitely the best chapter that I could came up with at the beginning, and then we continue to enrich, all the toddlers and stuff like that. For babies, another big deal that I discussed. I will say we. I'm not sure why, but that I discussed in the book was the bassinet. That people tend to either not know the options to ask it from the flight, from the airline, or if they ask for it, then there's restriction about the weight and about the size of the child. So you can choose the airline. We choose the airline according to the bassinet policy. And then
Okay.
what do you do with the bassinet? It's really hot inside. So they tell you, put the blanket and zip them, and everybody's doing it because you're so stressed and you want the baby to sleep, but then they're sweaty and they're screaming, and
Yeah.
then they're getting dehydrated and you don't know what to do. So you give them milk, but they don't need the milk. So we said we give some, some things, you go to the bassinet, fine. So you put, like a tetra cloth or a cotton cloth underneath, and you
Yes.
only cover them with a tetra cloth or a cotton cloth and not with the hot blanket. And you
Yeah.
do use the pillow because when you
Yeah.
take the head up, then they're not snoozing and they're not coughing. And what to wear, like something that is very light, but on the contrary, you need to check so they're not cold. So you get socks for the babies, which people, sometimes just take them like this, and you see the feet out there like freezing, freezing, freezing. And we're talking about the car seat that you can carry along with you for toddlers. Because
Mhm.
when they don't have it, they are all around, they lose it. But when they sit, it's a familiar space for them. So they sit in their kingdom, they eat there, they play there, they watch a movie there, they are snoozing there. They never sleep off the seat, which happened to our baby once then when we started to carry the car seat. They never fall down, you never lose them. Um, we did some, there's another tip that, again, from personal experience with the licking boy. We had, he needed to go to the toilet and
Yeah.
he couldn't. It was the time that you couldn't leave the
Oh
chair.
no.
And, it happened. You can feel the warm coming on you. And then again, to pack something for you. And also, we had this, the pee routine, the pee routine. You go to the toilet before you're boarding, you go to the toilet before landing. So the kids are, they're not in the rush hour to move when nobody can move. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about different routines, in the airport. Like, how do you manage to make sure that all the kids are with you? Because we lost one child one day. And we
Oh
just
my
lost
God,
him in
that
the
happened.
terminal, which was okay. We managed to get him.
Yeah.
But other friends of ours literally lost their kid and he boarded a different flight,
That's like
which
the
is
Home
the
Alone movie.
biggest
That's like
nightmare
the
ever.
mother's nightmare.
Exactly. So we put in the book, like a personal note, what is important to write in the note that you put in the bag of the child. What do you do about the routine? How do you manage them all together? Because I flew with the four of them and I was panicking that someone will disappear. So do you take the carrier or not? Of course you do. You take the carrier to have one on you. You take the stroller to have the second one in the stroller. And then you ask them to hold the stroller and stuff like that.
That's
And
it.
we
How did you carry luggage? That was like,
So exactly. So we did the packing, the checklist. I put a checklist for every age, and we do try to say, I know my baby's bag was a very fashionable one that you put on the side and you go in. It looks really cool. Disaster for airports and
yeah.
travels, right? Forget it. No, no, big no, no. I have a backpack when I go on the airport, so my hands are free and I can manage everything else. I give this is when we're talking about schoolers and teenagers. They have their own backpack, what you put in their backpack, so they carry their own and they have some responsibility. I'm talking in the book about screens policy, what to do about the time, how to handle food, for example, like, do you pack things from home or not? Because I'm not sure what about you, but I know a lot of moms are into being healthy, healthy, healthy all the time, which is,
Yeah.
I'm the same. But when you go on the airplane, just let it be.
Yeah.
Whatever
It's
they
like,
eat, let them eat.
like the plane, the hours on the plane, like that's a free zone. It's like as much screen time, snacks, whatever. It's like,
Even a juice, we call it in the book, I call it jet juice, so even they know that just for the plane they get to drink this juice in
yeah,
order to get themselves hydrated and to be calm and bring things from the house because they can be picky. So it's good to have the snack that they like or a sandwich that they like or like a packed lunch that they like. So they're not when they get grumpy, we are getting grumpy, and when we are getting grumpy, everybody around us, and it's a nightmare. um, we had one story which was hilarious. Our baby, the fourth one, is like a tornado, is really loud. And we board the airplane, and he was, just beyond his sleeping time, so he lost it.
oh
And he
no.
was screaming, screaming, screaming. And everybody, you could feel the hatred, you could feel them already. I wish they would gone, disappear, die, you crazy parents. You don't know how to manage your kids. And I felt like I want any God, regardless of religion, just take me now. I want to disappear.
Give
And
me the
but
parachute. I'll figure it out.
any God, you bring it on. I take it, I disappear. And as luck plays with you sometimes, we started texting. We said, okay, in a minute he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And we got stopped on this track for 45 minutes. And
Oh,
we
no.
couldn't stand with him. And he was seriously like, already swollen, red, dripping. And I wanted to die or to make him disappear. And then my husband whispered, said, don't worry, we're going to take off with or without mommy. You'll be fine. So 45 minutes, people really hated us. I could, you could feel it. And also you're making yourself a victim when people are like, like, bah, 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 bah. So there's a whole chapter about how to handle grumpiness growing around you. What do you do with it? Like,
Because like with
how,
my son, so
sorry?
whenever we boarded when my son was little on a plane, like you could see like the look on the other passenger's face, like, oh God, like I hope they're not going to sit next to us, and like luckily, like my son's always been really good on flights. He's been angel, like chatty, but like he's been really well behaved, and it's just one, like four I just like couldn't even fathom. But it is sort of like I see parents sort of like who are with little ones who are like struggling, maybe going through like terrible twos or whatever, and it's just like show some empathy. Like a little bit of empathy goes a long way for parents.
Yeah.
And like I've still got like a mum bag with random stuff in my bag, sort of like that. It's like give them a sweetie or like just make them laugh.
Correct. And yeah, you're actually, that's how I call it in the book. We call it the EM, your empathy muscle.
Yeah.
So if you're a stranger that is not your kids, when a stranger comes in and offer help, it breaks the cycle of this, anger or pittiness within the family. When you bring, I suggest to carry, small things to offer to these kids. So when I fly alone, I take with me, like markers, I take stickers, I take some of the, the cards that my boys don't need anymore, and I offer, and it's like magical. And another thing that I find very helpful is when you're stressed, the baby or the child or the toddler or whatever, they immediately feel it, and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Ask for help. People tend to, to shrink inside themselves. Feels.
Oh, the connection's going a little bit again.
And please help me. Can you just hold him for a minute? I want to wash my face.
Yeah, it's like just.
Can you please bear with me for a minute? People, once you ask them for help.
Oh, sorry, Dana. The connection's gone a bit fuzzy again. Yeah, so it's like, well, if you were a parent, ask for like somebody to hold the baby while you go to the loo, or somebody to sort of like play with them, or just interact. Ask for help to hold something
once in a while. This location.
Yeah, sorry about the internet connection, guys. I hope you can still follow through and see what and hear what's going on and get these great tips, because it is sort of like the funny stories that we tell later on. It's like when my son was like 2 and we were on a flight, like when we were potty training, he just thought it was fascinating going up and down to the toilet like about 15 plus times during the flight, and it was just exhausting. So it's just little things like that. It's like, oh, so I just learned new ways to interact with him, and he was fine. But it's and everyone was generally very helpful, and I remember the air hostesses coming up to me and asking, oh, is there anything you need? And I was like, yes, Prosecco. And they just kept bringing me Prosecco the whole flight. And it was like, this was the best flight ever. Because my son just wouldn't stop chatting. Like it was like having a 10-hour exam. Like it was like, so how deep is the ocean, and what level of the atmosphere are we in? And like, how does a jet engine work?
It was on fire.
But
one of my friends. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, one of the things I probably find the most irritating, like if I'm on a flight and there's small kids, is that if parents don't stop their kids from kicking the seat. Like, do you have any like tips or suggestions of how to deal with that kind of situation?
Yes. So yeah, we have a tip for that. like the footballers, because my kids are the same. So we figured that there are a few options for that. Number one, when you have a bigger family, not just one child, and you have what we do usually when we have two roles. So one of us will sit in the front with the kids that are not kicking, and the other one will take the kickers for the back. So if they kick my back and not you, the innocent stranger that doesn't know us, they don't know us. Another option that we suggested in the book is to get, always the front row,
Mm-hmm.
or to make sure that they sit behind a child, because usually children don't pay attention to this. They just don't realize that somebody's kicking there. Not to sound, I'm serious, they just don't feel it. They're so concentrated on their movie or their toy. So if there's a child behind a child, it's not as bad as having an adult being kicked. And another thing that we did one time was to sit, once you bring their car seat, I took their shoes off. So even if the kick is more soft, and I asked the lady in front, I said, I'm so sorry if it's kicking. When you fall asleep, it will become better. So we put like a blanket, to make it a bit, and a pillow to make it less
Impact.
and you need to, basically, if they're occupied, they are less likely to kick and to be, like all over the place. So we bring, and we put it on the checklist that we suggested, like to bring the cars and Play-Dohs and, like crayons with papers, and to bring some puzzles that are magnets. And a brilliant idea that I learned from a friend of mine is to bring all these, there's this sticky one, like the sticker that you can put on the chair, like to decorate the chair, like the small note that are sticky.
Like post-it notes.
Yeah, the post-it notes. So you can put it all over the place and they can decorate it. So they're busy with the chair, but they don't kick it anymore. And you can play with straws, or, all the, the pipe cleaner that you create different shapes with it. You can carry, which is really easy to carry. And another thing that we did with the boys, even though, some of them are really creative. So we took the vomit bags and we created, like puppets from the vomit bags. We fill it up with air. We make it like a balloon with, with the pipe cleaner. You can make, like the hands and stuff like that. So just to let them be occupied. And I think one of the biggest thing that really made a change for us is every time we come to the terminal, I see people try to control their kids. Don't go there, stay with us, don't move. And I personally think it's a mistake. A kid in every age and in every gender, regardless if it's a boy or girl, needs to burn their energy. And the terminal is one of the most secure places ever. They will disappear nowhere.
Yeah, you're literally surrounded by security.
Surrounded by security, by gates, they're never going to disappear. So we have this rule. It's like, like religion for us. They come to the terminal and they run around. Everywhere we can see them, they run, they crawl, they rumble around. Even when they were babies, I used to put, like a sarong on the floor, because it's usually like carpet. And I used to let them move their limbs, move their body. So when you go on the airplane, they can be exhausted, yes, but they're tired, and they're not looking for running and making a mess and kicking. They're much more calm. So they can go on the airplane, have their drink, have their dinner, and go to sleep. And if it's a day flight, then I usually don't do day flights with my boys, because I like to sleep in the airplane. They like it as well. But once we did it from Singapore to Fiji, and we came very prepared. We brought the iPads with things on them in case that the entertainment system will not be the same that they want it to be. We allowed them to watch, but we had a time expectation. So we said, fine, we take off, you can watch one movie, and then we're going to have a break for lunch, and you're going to relax with some activities. Then you can watch another movie, because it was like 10 hours day flight. And then we said, okay, we're going to bring some cards. We're going to do some, like trivia. There is amazing activity, like amazing trivia for every age that you can buy in bookshops.
Yeah.
So it's for 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, until like 15, I think. Brilliant. So they do competitions, and we brought stickers and stuff. So the day flight went very well, but they ate well. They drank a lot, because they're getting dehydrated like all of us. And of course, they rested in between, and they fell asleep in between, which was, they never take a nap at home, but they did in the airplane. I think there's something with the oxygen that really put them off at a certain point.
I just want to go back to like the running around in the terminals. Sort of like a lot of airports now have kids play zones, and it's like soft play centers within the terminal. Like I know Heathrow has one in Terminal 5. and Gatwick has like a zone in one of the terminals as well. So there are places that you can safely let the kids kind of run off some steam. I think it was the North Terminal or South Terminal, yeah, and there was like CBBS like going on the screens and sort of like that, somewhere that where the parents can kind of sit and have their coffee, and like the kids can run off steam in peace. So that's really important. And yeah, also it's like, yeah, taking that iPad with like all the games and interactive stuff that there is available is really useful as well. Dana, are you still there? Is the connection going okay? I think it's kind of broken a little bit, but hopefully it will come back again in a minute. And so I'll just take this moment now. If you have any stories or like tips that you found useful on while traveling, pop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear them, because this is just fantastic sharing all this stuff with you, Dana. You okay? Well, I think we're still waiting for the connection to kind of kick back in, but we'll persevere.
And we...
Does it come back?
Yes.
Yes, we're here. Okay, so yeah, so you kind of recommend sort of like to try and aim for night flights over day flights if you can manage it with kids, because it's like a higher chance that they'll sleep most of the time. Yeah. And but like sometimes we've had challenges like where there's been like a really long delay on the flight. What have you come up with some really good strategies of like dealing with delays on the flight?
Yes. So what I suggest in the book and what works for our family. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it's just coming back now.
Yes. I start to see the so now it's okay. I think what I suggest in the book as well, that they are the same routine that we do before the flight, we do during connections time, and if there are delays. So most importantly, what we find in our family, that a hungry parent or a hungry child is getting an angry parent or an angry child. We call it hangry, right? You know this term? It's like the combination. So most importantly, if there is a delay, don't wait, because by the time you come on the airplane, it takes ages until the service comes. So first of all, what we do when we come to the airport, even if we came from home, we go and we eat whatever they want. So they feel they started their vacation or their journey. They're in control of choosing what they like to eat. They eat and they drink. We do go to the washroom before boarding, and if we know we have a delay of 3 hours, fine, so be it. So we wait and then we go before we go on board. We look for all these places that you just mentioned. So if there are playgrounds, for example, in Singapore terminal, there are so many of them in different terminals. We go to those playgrounds. They have many times, they have attractions within the airport. So like a butterfly garden, or they have like a place, like with exhibition, like a temporary exhibition or whatever. If the delay is really long, we leave the terminal. We go out. If possible, sometimes you just can't. I was in a connection in one of the countries that I can't enter because of my passport, so I stayed in the airport no matter what. But we allow them, to walk around. We went to the duty free to walk around, to have a look, for them to move. We allow them again to run around. And we brought all the activities again, because that's what you have to do. Another thing that we usually do is we go to bookshops, because the bookshops, they always have something that catches their eyes in every age. But what's most important, they have games, and they have puzzles and word games and Sudoku and stuff that you carry from home, but there's a limit to what you can carry in your handbag. And if you're stuck, then there's no limit. Go and get whatever they want. They want to bring, like this travel kit, get the travel kit. They want to have a book, get a book. They want to have a sticker book, get a sticker book. Whatever, just get it. So for me, bookshop are usually a big saver, because we spend at least an hour over there with all of them. And we sit and we make like a reading corner over there, and we do that. Another thing that I wanted to say, that when a long delay that we had once in Switzerland for 8 hours, we were stuck. We just left the airport. We left the airport, we went to the city for like 4 hours, and we came back, and it was so refreshing to be out in the real air, like in the open air. So I would suggest to do that as well. Like if it's possible, if it's 2 hours delay, 3 hours delay, this is it. We're stuck. You can do, like a phone call on Skype. That's what we did. We got stuck in Turkey one time, 7 hours. First of all, we went to one of the lounge. The lounges there are fantastic. You need to pay, but in the lounge they have really good food. They have cozy corner. In Turkey specifically, they have video games inside. They have like a pool table. They have a lot of games for the kids. And again, it's very secure because nobody allows them to leave. So they can walk around, depends on the age, and to feel independent. So we spend 6 hours out of the 7 in this lounge, which was fantastic because we couldn't leave the airport. It didn't work at that time. But there are some options in the airport, which is nice to check in advance. And we did the iPad thing. So we were going to visit Israel after a year that they haven't been there, and said, oh, you know what? We have time and we have internet. Let's call the grandparents. And all in all, no, they all spoke a bit, but it took an hour for all our family. We took to my mom, we took to my dad, we talked to my dad, we talked to my brother. I asked my mom, I SMS, I said, please read them a story. I'm losing it. So she prepared a book and she sat with the two younger ones and she read them a story. So for them, which was fantastic. So, I thought it's a disaster that we're stuck for 7 hours, but it was for the best eventually. I mean, you're stuck. This is life. And she read them a story. My husband took the other two for a stroll. All in all, it moved quite okay. I do believe that it's all a matter of mindset, not as a cliche, but it is what it is. When you go and travel with your kids, the mindset has to be, as far as I believe. So it's only my opinion. Please, take it with grace, with really, only an opinion. We need to think that whatever happens, it's for the best, and we can only do our best. So if there's a grumpy passenger, it has nothing to do with us. Maybe he's grumpy because he lost someone. Maybe he's grumpy because the deal didn't go well. Maybe he's grumpy because he's tired, and we are just the teasers. So, just have some grace as well and empathy for them as well. Anticipate that things will not go according to the plan.
Yeah.
Just know upfront that you're not going to sleep well, and then you're not going to finish your movie. You can watch a movie when they go to college. That if you get stuck, this is life. So have a drink, chill, and don't take it on them or on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. I think when you travel with the kids, you really need to understand that nothing is within your control. Just nothing.
Yeah. Be okay with it.
You're okay with it. You only do your best, but you also prepare them. My kids know. I said, listen, we go on this trip. We hope for the best. Whatever happens, we're going to make the best out of it. So we got stuck in, I remember it was Turkey as well. And it was my son's birthday, and we thought we were going to be here already in Singapore. So we celebrated in the middle of the terminal. We went to the shop. We bought him this huge lollipop. We called other passengers that we didn't know. We sang him a song. You make the best out of it. You're stuck, you're stuck. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to complain? They're going to learn it. Like children see, children do. So, and if you see that you lose it, take a break. Let your husband or your spouse or your partner stay with them. Go for half an hour, have your coffee, call someone, relax, come back, with your energy again. So everything goes. Like, everything goes. That's my, I think, biggest realization.
Yeah, and you're traveling to make memories and to sort of like do amazing things anyway. So you should really start that straight away, not wait until you arrive at your destination, and make it part of the fun. And it's like of kids of any age. And I see parents sort of like with young kids sort of like really quite stressed out. And I'm like, I wish my son was still young enough to get sort of like first priority on board the plane. Like, you get perks, like traveling with small kids. Like, you get treated like it's first class. Like this is something you enjoy.
I agree.
And make it as well you can. And it's like everyone wants to help you, and you get the speedy boarding like through the security and everything. So it's like, make the most of that experience. And yes, like if you are going to have a long layover, sort of like check into one of the lounges and treat yourself, because it's like it's going to be especially if you're going internationally, it could be a really long flight. treat yourself. What one of the things I think, like for short haul flights, that I find is, yeah, just make it it's part of like the journey, and just like it's only a short flight, so it's like not too much to worry about. And it's like if it gets delayed, then it's like, well, have the extra cake or muffin or whatever it is that the kid wants, just to make it like part of the fun. And it's like, now we go to the airport, it's like, okay, we go and we're having a treat for part of the experience, and it's not the same rules as home.
I agree with you.
Just like, but giving a bit of empathy and grace to the people around you. And yeah, we go, like you, the first place we go to through duty free is the bookstore, and they normally have a 3 for 2 deal or something, or buy one get one free on kids' books. So that's like instantly, it's like, right, books for the plane journey, and he just devours them through the plane journey. So just sort of like, the one thing that parents might struggle with is sort of like dealing with jet lag with kids, and how to deal with coping, like if you're struggling with jet lag yourself and then your kids have jet lag.
Is it okay?
Sort of like, yeah, I think we can still hear you. It's kind of frozen a little bit, but hopefully it will come back. You're there, I think. So any tips for jet lag for kids? Can you hear me? Sorry, I think are you still there, Dana? The screen's kind of frozen. Sorry about this, folks. The joys of doing a live recording. A Facebook Live, hence why I've been recording them lately. But I would love to hear from you, like, what tips and things have you found that are really useful for when you're traveling with kids? Dana's been sharing lots of amazing tips, so we'll compile those and put them into.
So yes, I think there are a few of them.
Yeah.
First of all, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
There's a bit paused, but I can hear you.
Okay, I think you're back.
Yes.
So about jet lag, right? We were talking about the jet lag, I think, before we got cut. So I think there are a few options to handle it, and there's nothing guaranteed. So please, it's just a suggestion. But this, I think, that we do. Usually when we take, night flights or day flights, by the way, because some of my friends prefer day flights and they think it's easier, so be it. Whatever works for you, go for it. I prefer nights because this is me, but everybody can choose for themselves. So what we do usually is one of us really sleeps the whole flight. So we are managing the kids in the way that I'm a good sleeper on the airplane, unlike my husband. I really faint. So he allows me to faint. So when we get there and everybody is grumpy and have no energy, I'm the one who I just woke up after 8 hours of sleep. So we try to divide that. This is one option, and it worked very well for us. Every time we come back from Israel to Singapore, the jet lag is horrible. We land at 6 p.m. For them, it's like morning. They go to sleep like at 3 a.m., but I can manage it. So I'm staying up with them, and then in the morning I go to sleep and he manages them. But we are planning that in advance, so nobody's grumpy and nobody's blaming each other, and no one's saying, oh, please stand up, please you go for it. No. We know that the airplane is my time to faint. We land, this is my time to act. Another thing that really works with the kids is to manage their sleeping time on the air. So if I know that we leave, I'm just giving my example because I can manage the hours, just to show you an example. If we leave Israel at midnight, and I know that we have 2 hours to go to Turkey, and then we have 2 hours to wait, and then we have 12 hours to Singapore, and we reach at 6 p.m. I don't want my kids to sleep the whole night flight. So specifically, I ask them to sleep in Israel in the evening before we go on the plane. Mm-hmm. So they go to sleep, like, even if it's 8 to 10 p.m., something like that, 2-3 hours. Then we go on the flight to Turkey. I try to keep them occupied, so they're not going to sleep, and they're already used to it. And I explain also why. I'm not being nagging. I said, try to stay awake. This is the time to watch a movie. Let's eat some sugar. Stay awake. Da, 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 da. So when we get to Turkey around 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something like that, they have 2 hours to be active.
Yeah.
They go on that airplane. They sleep for like 7 hours, and I wake them up. So I wake them up, let's say like 6 hours before we land, something like that. So it's like 12 p.m. here. So it's not that much of a drama to go to sleep again at midnight. But if I would let them sleep until 5 p.m., they would never be able to sleep the whole night until the morning. So I think it's very important to manage their sleeping time during the aircraft, during the flight itself, but being considerate. So if they're totally out, they're totally out. So be it. The jet lag will take 3-4 days and you'll get over it. This is life. And then you can ask for help. So I remember we have like a nanny that helps us in the house, and she knows when we come back from Israel, I'm spending the time with them. In the morning, my husband is with them. But by noon, when I'm like totally flat, she's taking over. So in Israel, I remember we used to call a babysitter. But these are things that you can plan in advance. You call a babysitter or a grandma or a neighbor, or you plan some playdates in advance so somebody can be around when you need to sleep because you were awake when everybody else was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this also is very helpful. And for parents, I've never taken it, but I know a lot of my friends that are traveling a lot are taking this melatonin to get over the like, and then they are functioning when their kids are losing it. So, and I remember one time we came home, they were very active, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. At 10 p.m., I went for a walk with them. And we walked for an hour, and they came home exhausted, and they went to sleep. One other time, we went to the pool. We have a pool, and, in Singapore, the weather is fantastic. We went for a night swim from 10 to 12 midnight. I was awake totally, but my husband, which was, half dead, the minute he went into the water, he woke up. Everybody was energetic. We swam and played for like 2 hours quietly, and then they came upstairs and they were exhausted again.
Yeah.
So I think it's just planning in advance, sharing, the tasks, managing the time on the airplane and before that, and getting some help when you land. I think these are the things that can really make your life a bit easier.
Amazing.
I hope.
So to wrap up, sort of like, where can people find your book and get hold of you? And what are your, where can people find out more?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. So I think at the beginning when I told about the book a bit, I'm not sure if you guys heard that the fact that I wrote it on the vomit bags on the aircraft, and later on I made it a book, I decided to give part of the profits to the charity that we do in Nepal and in Israel. So the more people share about the book, the more fundraising we can do. And it's like, it became my mission now to spread, helping them, helping us, helping the charity. So I've created a website for the book itself and other products that will come later on. And it's called Dana's Tips for Parents. Dana's with an S. And on the website at the moment, there is a link to buy the book. There's, my biography and like an introduction and some recommendations. While Ruth Van Recken, for example, from FIGT, she gave a recommendation and endorsement. And when you sign up for the email, then I'm sending the checklist for free, so you can print as many as you wish. They're all in the book, so you can take a photocopy and have, a checklist for every age. So for your toddler, for your baby, for your teenager. So the checklist will be like a gift for everybody who's joining the website. So Dana's Tips for Parents is the website to go on. And it's also on Amazon, of course. And the fact that I learned 2 days ago, which I didn't know, is that when you do it through my website, there's a commission that Amazon generates. And we committed to take this commission towards the charity as well. That's why I'm saying Dana's Tips for Parents, because then it will be able to go through this commission thing in Amazon, which I wasn't aware before.
Yeah, so more money can go to the charity.
Yes, because they collect it for you, and then I'm going to direct it. And another thing that I thought that I would like to ask you, if it's possible, that through the website, please, if you have any tip that I didn't think of, or I didn't experience, so I didn't know of, or if you have an hilarious story that you want to share, or some kinds of wisdom that you gain that I don't have, please share, because I'm planning to have the second edition and then to add a few things. And already in the last 2 weeks since it was launched, 2 or 3 weeks, I already gathered like 4 things that I want to add. So it will be awesome just to hear your experience, because all of us are parents and all of us have so much experience. It's not just me. I just started it, but this is like a journey that everybody can contribute to be featured if they want by their name or their kid's name, and it will be a gift for everyone.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, so if you've got some stories, I'm sure you do, of experiences of when you've traveled with kids, and so the tips and wisdoms that you've picked up, do share them, sort of like pop them in the comments below, or go to danastipsforparents.com and share them with Dana, and you might even be featured in her next book. So we'll put all the links in the comments below so you can get hold of them. Apologies again. Are we back? Something happened. So I don't know what happened there with Facebook, but I hope we're still there. And thank you so much for everyone who's joined and all your reactions and comments so far. And yeah, keep the conversation going. If you're watching the replay, say hi and share your tips in the comments below. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And if you are traveling this summer, definitely get Dana's book, Vital Flight, a survival guide for parents. So we'll put all the links below, and I hope everyone has an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining us. So thank you, Dana.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And as well as getting a book with amazing tips and resources and checklists, it will also be helping a charity for helping kids' educations in Israel and Nepal. So it's a win-win for everybody. So take care, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. Take care. See you later. Bye. Download the app today and join our community to feel at home anywhere.